R. Kelly's attorneys and prosecutors have been given the opportunity to speak directly to jurors about the serious allegations against the R&B singer. Charges against the star include enticing minors for sex, creating child pornography, and manipulating his 2008 pornography trial. Remember that in September 2022, Kelly was found guilty on 6 of the 13 charges against him, which includes making child pornography and enticing minors into illicit sexual activities. Following that, R. Kelly's lawyers had to file motions to either have the conviction overturned or have the federal charges in Chicago brought again to trial. Despite all that was done at the time, Judge Harry Leinenweber dismissed Kelly's appeal, stating that there was sufficient evidence to sustain a guilty verdict on all 6 counts of which he was convicted. Now, his attorneys and even the prosecutors have been granted another opportunity to present their cases to the jurors. Since this evidentiary phase is expected to last a month or longer, both the prosecution and Kelly's legal team have requested an hour from the judge to brief the jury and prepare them for the types of evidence they will be bringing into court considering their disturbing content. Before the prosecution is allowed to start calling in witnesses, the attorneys for 2 of Kelly's co-defendants will also address the jury. It's important to note that the co-defendants have refused to publicly reveal to us who they plan to put in the witness box first. In preparation for the upcoming sitting, the jury sat with the prosecutors and defense lawyers over broad speculations that the government might have intentionally tried to keep a few African American people from being members of the jury. Since Kelly is an African American star, they thought other African Americans were prohibited from being a part of the jury because they might be biased and speak in his favor. If they actually were barred from joining, it would be a gross misstep based on generalizations. Kelly's attorney, Jennifer Bonjean, even claimed that the prosecution intentionally removed certain people from being members of the jury who they believed would be swayed in order to deny R. Kelly that privilege. Due to the peremptory challenges which give them the right to decide the number of people that will sit as jury, this was allowed. Going over this, the prosecutors pointed out that African Americans had been made jury members in the past, but were removed for obvious reasons, and they claimed that their skin color never had anything to do with it. One example they pointed out was an older man who couldn't stay fully awake during the court session, and there were many more they didn't talk about. After hearing from both parties, Judge Harry Leinenweber partially sided with the defense, preventing the prosecution from removing African Americans entirely off the jury. He restored 3 African American jurors who were previously taken out. In the end, the judge, prosecution, and defense identified 12 jurors in total, and half of them were African American. 6 alternates were also selected, even though most of them had watched at least part of the 6-part documentary series Surviving R. Kelly, which is about the many sexual abuse allegations leveled against the Grammy Award-winning singer. Watching the documentary prior to the sitting once meant automatic disqualification, but Judge Leinenweber has promised to overlook that if the jurors promise to be impartial during the duration of their time in court. While choosing the jurors, the court went for people from all different walks of life. One of the jurors in particular once worked as a real estate agent. Since his sons both became lawyers, it is believed that he is a bit more familiar with the legal system than the average civilian. Some other people were also denied access to being part of the jurors' team. One was a man who claimed he didn't think the IRS should exist, and there was also a woman who openly admitted to having negative opinions on police officers and judges. The trial's main focus will be whether R. Kelly intimidated and bought off a young girl he was accused of having sex with years ago. Kelly was around 30 years old at the time, and the girl was just 14, making her a minor and unable to consent. Another case leveled against him is conspiring to obstruct justice. In 2008, when the case was first heard in court, Kelly was found not guilty of child pornography by the jury. Some jurors later stated that they felt they had no choice in the verdict since the girl in question never showed up to testify. Right now, the current case is different because years have passed and the little girl is now a woman in her 30s. Although her identity is not fully revealed, she is addressed in court documents as Minor 1, and she will be the government's star witness in the federal trial that is expected to last for over a month. During the sitting on Monday, prosecutors explained to the court that it is much better to refer to the lady in question as Jane or Minor 1 when she appears to make her statements. Kelly's lawyers told the court that they could contest whether or not some of his accusers were actually minors at the time Kelly was accused of video recording or seducing them. The musician, who is now 55 years old, has already been sentenced by a New York federal judge to a 30-year prison term for a 2021 conviction on previous charges that he used his fame to sexually abuse young fans. If you remember vividly before Kelly was sentenced in 2022, during the last court hearing, a group of people who survived the abuse, including a woman named Angela, were given a chance to read victim impact statements during the trial. Looking him straight in the eyes, Angela read, "You used your fame and power to groom and coach underage boys and girls for your own sexual satisfaction. We are no longer the preyed-upon individuals we once were." This confirms that while we were enjoying his soulful and melodious songs, he was using the power and fame he got from them to abuse underage people sexually. And he did this proudly, though still hidden at the time. One of the witnesses in court during his trial said that he proudly compares himself to Jerry Lee Lewis, a rock star who was known for marrying his 13-year-old cousin. According to the witness, she met R. Kelly in 1999 at a hotel where she worked. She was 17 years old at the time and was struggling to make ends meet. She recalled that at one time during their relationship, out of the blue, Kelly brought up Jerry Lee Lewis's story and compared himself to Lewis, saying that both of them were misunderstood geniuses. According to her, she said Kelly told her, and I quote, "Even look at Jerry Lee Lewis. He's a genius, and I'm a genius. We should be allowed to do whatever we want. Look at what we give to the world." All of this makes people question his state of mind. Does he think he is doing nothing wrong just because he has used his beautiful voice and talent to bless us with a good number of harmonious songs? Knowing R. Kelly's origin story of how he rose from poverty on the streets of Chicago's South Side and went on to become a star singer, songwriter, and producer, many expected him to understand the situation of most of the underage persons he preyed on, giving that, just like him, they were people from disadvantaged classes who recognized his talent and just wanted to hold his wings and fly just like him. Or, in some cases, they wanted to connect their friends or relatives with him, just like Angela. But instead of helping them, he took advantage of their situation and had his way with them. Kelly is now a middle-aged man, and given the number of years he was sentenced to serve in his jail term, he will be about 80 years old by the time he qualifies for release. He knows this, and most people believe this is part of the reason why he's appealing to the court to revisit his case. Kelly is facing 4 counts of enticement of minors for sex, one each for 4 other accusers who are also expected to testify soon. 2 of Kelly's close associates, Daryl McDavid and Milton Brown, will serve as co-defendants at the Chicago trial. McDavid has been formally accused of helping Kelly change the outcome of the trial in 2008. And, similarly to the star, Brown is charged with receiving child pornography. Both men deny their involvement and wrongdoings entirely. Despite everything that has happened in the last few months, Minor 1 is expected to testify that she was the one seen on video recordings having sex with R. Kelly. It would be a huge relief and a major development to the case, considering that she did not appear during any of the month-long court sessions back in 2008. People believe she didn't show up due to threats and money she and her family received from Kelly and his lawyers. Many think she was paid for her silence. A lot is expected to happen in this upcoming hearing, and we are all anticipating what Kelly's final verdict will be. What are your thoughts on this case? Do you think Kelly should have been sent to prison years ago? Let us know in the comment section below. We would love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to You So Crazy for more videos just like this.